Some homeowners accuse banks of working against them when they're trying to save their home from foreclosure.
Now there's new evidence that it's true in a surprising number of cases.
The King 5 investigators got state data showing some of the biggest banks are breaking the rules when negotiating with homeowners.
Chris Ingalls has the investigation that is already sparking changes at the highest levels of state government to put a stop to it.
Jim built this house back in 1996, 97.
This isn't just the place where they live.
If you glance up at the ceilings, you can see that it's very detailed, and it's kind of like his trophy.
It's the home that Dion King's husband built with his own hands.
It's very open. You feel warm when you come in this house.
Her husband's trade as a contractor allowed them to build their dream home. But the housing crisis a few years ago very nearly took it away when her husband could no longer find construction work.
We just had a really hard time working with Bank of America.
Dion and her husband defaulted on their house payment to Bank of America. They tried negotiating with the bank to modify their loan to a reduced monthly payment during the hard times.
They would get the paperwork just to turn around and ask for something else. And then you'd give them something else. And then, oh, well, we need it all over again because it's outdated now.
So Dion turned to Washington's Foreclosure Fairness Act. The 3-year-old law requires banks to agree to foreclosure mediation. A state-approved mediator forces the bank and homeowner to negotiate in good faith, which Dion felt Bank of America was not doing.
Quite frankly, they've been underhanded about the whole thing.
If that's the case, a mediator can issue this report, finding that the beneficiary, the bank, is not in good faith. Consumer debt attorney Nadia Corridor says that means
any type of behavior where it's clear that the lender is not trying to help a homeowner.
Records from the Washington Department of Commerce reveal 223 cases where mediators found banks acting in bad faith. Bank of America leads the way with 51 bad faith certificates. Records show of the 1,505 mediations that failed to reach agreement, 181 times, more than 10%, were because the bank acted in bad faith. Once in foreclosure mediation, lenders more often act in bad faith than borrowers do.
Beneficiary not in good faith.
One of Bank of America's dozens of bad faith rulings came from Dion King's mediation.
Beneficiary failed to complete review in the time agreed by all in previous session.
In a statement, Bank of America says it's participated in nearly 700 mediations in Washington. It says many of its bad faith cases come from delinquent loans acquired when it took over Countrywide, a financial mess. Even with that bad faith certificate against Bank of America in hand, Dion is no closer to saving her home.
They have gotten off scot-free without even a slap on the hand.
That's because the law doesn't really spell out a punishment for banks acting in bad faith, except for the homeowner's option to sue the bank for violating the Consumer Protection Act.
To my knowledge, we've never encountered somebody who goes, okay, I got a bad faith certificate. Now I'm going to go sue the lender. That just doesn't happen. There's no money. They already don't have money.
The only other option for homeowners is the Washington Attorney General's office, which enforces the Consumer Protection Act. But in 3 years, the AG has never filed any suit on behalf of all these borrowers whose bank broke the rules.
We have been involved. We've literally put out about $20 million worth of grants so folks can have free legal counsel as they navigate this process.
Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson says his office has come to the aid of thousands of homeowners, but he admits our investigation has revealed a problem. While the state is collecting all this information about bad faith cases, no one is forwarding that to the state's lawyers.
When it comes to the bad faith mediation, we do not get those reports. They don't come to our office. I think they probably should.
Since we started raising questions, Ferguson has been in contact with Representative Tina Orwall of Des Moines, the sponsor of the Foreclosure Fairness Act.
And we've exchanged messages on, hey, maybe the law should change that, hey, that the mediator's got to send a copy of that to our office as well, so we know in a timely manner on a specific matter. We don't get that information right now.
Now what?
Now what? Bank of America found a loophole. They sold our mortgage.
Any fix will come too late for Dion. Bank of America walked away without any consequences, while Dion is back at square one, negotiating with a new lender.
You don't know when that knock is going to come on at the door, and they're going to post the foreclosure, and the house is going to be sold.
Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.
For nearly 2,000 Washington homeowners, mediation has worked well. It has resulted in manageable mortgage terms with their lender. Free housing counselors are available to assess your individual case. We posted more information about a variety of free programs for homeowners on king5.com.
So it's your house, but you can't get in. Somebody has padlocked the door.
It may be your bank that's behind it. King 5 investigator Chris Ingalls reveals why there could be growing numbers of Washington homeowners who are locked out before they are in foreclosure.
It's just sad. It's really sad.
Trying times for Robin Cox.
This is my house.
Her longtime home in South Seattle looks like this inside. Wood beams and pipes that are supposed to be behind walls exposed.
How long have you owned the house?
Since 2000.
Big day when you moved in here?
Oh yeah, this was my youngest son's bedroom. His bunk bed was here.
It was all lost in a 4th of July fire last year, likely started by a neighbor's fireworks.
We heard a huge explosion coming off the deck.
But it was after she hired construction crews to fix her home that the real fireworks started. Workers couldn't get in one day because of a mysterious lock on Robin's front door.
There was like a padlock on it with a little code on it that you have to open up.
Bank of America locked Robin out of the home where she's raised 7 children.
Who owned the house when they came out here and put the locks on it?
I did.
It was never in the bank's custody? It was never foreclosed upon?
No.
Did you have any warning that they were coming?
No.
Robin is involved in a long-standing dispute with Bank of America over its refusal to honor a loan modification that reduced her mortgage. It was signed by her former lender, Countrywide, which BOA acquired.
I mean, like, at first I thought there must be some glitch and we can fix it.
Her loan is in default status, but the house is clearly hers and not the bank's, according to Robin's lawyer.
They're quick on the draw to come and lock people out of their property.
Audrey Udishin says the bank may have initially believed the house was abandoned.
You know, it looks to be a failure for the bank to actually investigate whether someone's still residing in the home.
Udishin works for the nonprofit Northwest Consumer Law Center, which is aware of at least 5 cases like Robin's, where banks took shortcuts and locked up properties they don't own. Through a public records request, we found 13 more cases filed with the Attorney General's office in which homeowners claim lenders broke into and entered houses, locked family members out, and left notices saying homes were winterized and locked up.
Robin was locked out of this house for months.
The attorney says banks may be trying to preserve the value of properties they expect to foreclose upon. Bank lockouts could be a relatively new trend, not seen during the foreclosure crisis that started in 2007. Back then, there was a huge inventory of foreclosed properties and not many buyers. That has changed.
What's new is that a home like this has more value. The housing market is strong, and banks are eager, sometimes too eager, to snap a home like this up.
Bank of America declined to discuss Robin's case because she's filed a lawsuit in King County Court. In a written statement, a spokesperson says the bank may conduct routine drive-by inspections, and if a house is deemed vacant, it has limited authority to secure and maintain the property.
They're doing it, you know, way before they've even determined if the house has been abandoned.
Northwest Consumer Law Center says it's seeing enough of these cases that it's considering a class action lawsuit against one lender that it won't reveal, except to say it's not Bank of America. While her case has many legal issues to be resolved, Robin says one of them shouldn't be whether she has a right to be in her own home.
This was our home, and now it's nothing. I mean, I feel like I never know if we're going to be here again.
Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.
The Attorney General's office says it is aware of and concerned about the 13 cases it's received, but cannot comment on any open investigations. The office says it has provided grants to firms like the Northwest Consumer Law Center to provide legal assistance to affected homeowners. You can find more information about that firm on king5.com.
A Buckley family thought they were doing the right thing when they asked their lender for help getting their house payments lowered.
Instead of helping, that request put them on a fast track to foreclosure and a battle with one of the nation's biggest banks. King 5 investigator Linda Byron exposed the bank's errors 2 years ago and explains why the family's fight still isn't over.
This is where we put our roots in, and this is where we want to stay. It's the kind of place we want to bring our kids up in.
I love it. It's great. It's right size, good location, great schools.
This house has been the only real home the Vosses have ever known.
Are you going to use all that?
Sour cream, yes.
It was their first home, and since they bought it in 2008, it's been the heart of their family of 4.
But 6 years after moving in, they're now on the brink of eviction. They just found this notice taped to their front door. It's from Bank of America. It says the property has been foreclosed. It's the bank's intention to market it and sell it to interested buyers.
Devastating.
It's not the first time they've gotten a threat like this.
It's like a kick in the stomach. I don't even know how to describe the feeling. I mean, it's scary.
This is the first time the bank has assigned a realtor to sell the house, and the Vosses fear they've reached the end.
I try to think about it, I just get lost because I don't even know where to start to think about it. You know, I get like heartbroken, confused.
It's hard to believe it all began in 2009 with their effort to be proactive. Mike's work pouring cement was drying up, so they called Bank of America for help to get their payments lowered.
They said, we can't tell you to do this, but we're just giving you info, you know, on it. If you don't make a payment for 3 months, then it'll show that you're in distress, and then you'll be put at top of the order to be able to be helped.
They stopped making their payments and applied for a loan modification.
It was this endless battle that it just seemed like no matter what, we couldn't win because we could send things in 30 times. And then when they finally did say that they got it, they would wait so long after that they would say the paperwork had expired and we need to redo it again.
On June 3rd, 2010, their loan modification was denied. And the very next day, the bank foreclosed and took their house.
I was shocked. I was devastated. What do we do next?
Did you feel betrayed?
Yeah, a lot.
For 2 years, the Vosses fought to get that foreclosure reversed. It wasn't until the King 5 investigators exposed what had happened in 2012 that the bank apologized and stopped their eviction.
I thought our prayers had been answered. I thought it was finally an end to our fight. They had been exposed, they realized it, and they were finally going to do what they were supposed to do in the first place.
But it wasn't over. Bank of America offered a loan modification, but also said the Vosses had to start making monthly payments before the bank would rescind the foreclosure. The Vosses said no.
Because our home was foreclosed on. It wasn't in our name. Bank of America still had the deed to our house. And I don't even know what we would have been making payments on. It makes no sense whatsoever for them to try to take payments on a house that it's foreclosed on, and they own it.
Bank of America wouldn't talk to us on camera, but told us once the Vosses turned down what the bank thought was a tremendous offer, they had to move forward with eviction.
Can you save their house?
We can try.
The Vosses' new attorneys say they believe the foreclosure wasn't just unfair, it was unlawful, and Bank of America needs to fix it.
And if that doesn't happen, what are you prepared to do?
Then we're willing to represent them in the court system for as long as it takes to get an answer to their claims that we think this is a void sale and that they were treated wrongly by the bank and they should be paid some damages.
Meantime, the Vosses are in their 5th year of living in limbo, every day fearing the next knock on the door could be the sheriff ordering them to leave.
It will be one of the most devastating things that this whole family will go through. It's not just breaking my heart or his heart, but it's breaking the kids' heart.
In Buckley, Linda Byron, King 5 News.
Shortly before our story aired, we received word from Bank of America that it's putting the eviction on hold while it considers a broader range of options to assist the Vosses. Cases like this led to a national mortgage settlement back in 2012 between states, the federal government, and the country's 5 biggest mortgage servicers, including Bank of America. The Vosses say they got about $1,500 in that settlement. They also got $6,000 after an independent mortgage review by federal bank regulators identified them as having been injured as a result of errors or misrepresentations during the foreclosure process. But that didn't get them their house back.
This month marks the third anniversary of a Washington law that is supposed to save struggling homeowners. The Foreclosure Fairness Act gives them a chance to halt foreclosure.
But the King 5 investigators have discovered a surprisingly small number of homeowners are actually putting the law to use. Chris Ingalls reports that's even though the foreclosure crisis isn't even over in our state.
You won't hear Leonette Hall complaining about the mundane chores that come with owning a home.
It's part of home ownership, and I'm just grateful that I'm able to do those things.
Grateful that she has her home at all. How close did you come to losing your house?
There were times where it was going to sale the day before, and I was fighting.
That's a fight with the lender that many of her neighbors in South Tacoma lost. Homes overgrown, boarded up, tagged with foreclosure notices, and seized by the bank.
It was really stressful.
After a divorce, Leonette says she worked with her lender for 3 years to get her house payment on track, but got nothing but delays and denials.
It's emotionally tolling because, you don't know if you're going to be here next month or 6 months from now.
Then a housing counselor led her to the 2011 Foreclosure Fairness Act, a Washington law that requires the loan servicer to sit down with the borrower and an impartial mediator.
That was the light at the end of the tunnel for me because it was a neutral party that would force us to talk and for someone to listen and for me to be able to tell my story.
Now here's the surprising thing. Many of these people who lost their homes didn't take advantage of the foreclosure fairness law.
The numbers from the state are a little fuzzy, but during the first quarter of this year, about 4,500 Washington homeowners received their first notice of default. That means they're eligible for mediation. But only 10% of that group actually followed through and scheduled a hearing with a mediator.
And if you can get into this mediation program and you can get a loan modification and get on with your life, you are much better off.
Melissa Hulsman is an attorney and foreclosure expert.
What can that mediator do for a homeowner?
The mediator is making the participants follow the rules.
There's plenty of evidence that lenders are still not playing by the rules, according to the nonprofit Northwest Consumer Law Center.
Hi, this is Nathan at the Northwest.
This firm offers services on an income-based sliding scale.
Right now, though, our primary focus really has to do with saving homes.
In many cases, mediation does not work, but it costs a homeowner $200, much cheaper than going the other route.
I have people who come to see me that don't want to participate because they think that they want to sue. And I always tell people litigation is a last resort.
Did the threat of a mediator get you results?
I believe so because I wasn't getting results for 3.5 years.
Leonette scheduled a mediation, and last week this arrived.
Congratulations, you have qualified for, and we are pleased to offer you
Her lender agreed to modify her home loan.
So I got a lower interest payment. I got $250 off my mortgage payment a month.
So she has a place to live and terms she can live with.
It was a breath of fresh air.
Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.
Housing counselors are available free of charge to guide you through the mediation process. We have information about help from the Washington Foreclosure Hotline on king5.com.